Is this the camera of the future? Hey guys, what's up? It's me again, Tom from TTT Tom's Tech Time. Welcome to this new episode. Today I want to be introducing the all-new Insta360 1X camera that arrived just like 3, 4, 5 days ago, and I took a first look at it. Let's get this episode started. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe to never ever miss any of my upcoming episodes again, and a product link can be found in the description below the video. Before we talk tech specs, let's unbox the camera. I have received 3 boxes. Firstly, a long one, next a short one, and finally the main box that includes the Insta360 camera. They're not only calling it a 360 camera, they call it an Action 360 camera. Maybe that is why the packaging kind of reminds me of GoPro. Let's now check out what's inside. At first, we find the palm-sized Insta360 camera itself. Looks pretty good already, but we'll take a closer look at it in a second, don't worry. Next, we find this tiny little box. Let's check out what's inside. Firstly, a battery for the camera itself, and secondly, a transparent thin nylon-like cable that is itself connected, as it looks, to a 1/4" screw. That's made to swing the camera, I guess. The thought of attaching my new camera to this thin cable though is a bit scary. Now what else do we find? At first, a protective pouch. You can hang it around your neck. And secondly, the quick start guide and a warranty card, the usual amount of papers that we find in all boxes. On this tiny box it says, connect to your phone. What is inside? Probably a few cables. Yep, a lightning cable, a USB-C cable, and an Android cable to connect our phones. The final box says connect to your computer, and I highly guess that inside we'll find a USB cable. And yep, that's exactly what it is. Maybe not very exclusive, but probably pretty useful. Now what's hiding inside this paper box? A selfie stick, an Insta360 selfie stick. And that selfie stick is a lot smarter than you might think. We'll get to that later. And inside the small box, we find a handle, and we can later on attach the selfie stick to it and then rotate it around our head. It is gonna be pretty cool, I promise. Now is the time to take a closer look at the specs of the new camera. The 1X is a beautiful and new 360 degrees camera with many features aboard for tons of creative possibilities. 5.7K videos, 18 megapixels photographs, slow motion, live streaming, an invisible selfie stick, and of course its affordable price are only a few of its highlights. But let's get started with the basics. The camera weighs only about 116 grams and it is small enough to fit into any pocket. Being precise, and I really like being precise, it measures 11.4 by 4.6 by 2.8 centimeters. The housing is made out of plastic and seems to be valuable, even though I'm not sure how many drops it can withstand. The housing is also not waterproof, but you can separately buy a pressure and water resistant housing. Check the link in the description below the video. The 1X features 2 cameras, one on each side. 2 control buttons have been placed on the front of the 1X. A small and handy display right above shows which mode, photo, video or bullet time is currently being used, as well as information regarding the Wi-Fi signal and the battery status of the camera. At the very top and bottom, Insta360 installed tiny microphones, and below the buttons a small status LED. Let's turn the camera around. Below the camera we again find a status LED, and at the bottom another tiny microphone. At the one side of the camera we find a USB jack. And on the other side of the camera, the battery compartment. A look from the top unveils the speakers. And at the bottom we find a tripod and accessories, standard 1/4" mounting hole, and the micro SD card slot. Enough of the tech specs, let's talk about this tiny camera, about its pros and cons, and what I think about the handling and what I think about the footage.
First of all, if you turn on this little camera, it boots within seconds. You can see how fast it is up. Already now I could start to record a video. Booting time is amazing. Very well as well is that you can record videos or take photographs without having a smartphone attached. That is really helpful. You don't always have to take your phone and connect to the Wi-Fi and then start something. You just take it, turn it on, press the button, and boom, you already start to record a video. Talking about the resolution, 5.7K is pretty impressive, and the frame rate is set to 30 frames per second. 30 frames per second might be nice, but it is in my eyes a downside that 24 and 25 frames per second are missing. I am myself a big fan of 25 frames per second, and that is missing totally. So I'm a bit disappointed when it comes to the frame rates. Maybe even 60 frames per second would have been cool, but there is a 100 frames per second possibility, even though not in 5.7K. That, by the way, can be used with the bullet time effect. Let's take a look at how a bullet time video looks. Basically, the camera swirls around you and you have this handle that you can turn, and then you create pretty amazing looking slow motion videos, even though you really look a bit awkward with that. You know, you're standing there and you're like, woo, that's really a bit awkward. But the videos and the results are pretty amazing, pretty cool. And later on, you can have these videos in up to 3K resolution. That is pretty fascinating. The Insta360 selfie stick is really cool because you can not only within seconds attach the camera to it, but when you start to film, the Insta360 selfie stick basically turns invisible. That is due to an algorithm that they wrote. You really cannot see the selfie stick itself. It just disappears. It is quite magical. One of the greatest advantages of 360 cameras is that you do not have to decide what you are filming anymore, because you're basically filming everything in 360 degrees, and then later, when checking out the video in the app or on the computer, you can then decide what you want to be in focus, what you want to be shown, or you can of course export the whole 360 video. But I prefer, you know, just having a normal video and then being able to later on decide what you want to show. That means that you don't have to point the camera and shoot, but that means that from now on you just shoot with the camera, and then later on when you're relaxed and you have the time, then you point. You have within the app little helpful tools. You can, for example, either track an object, your head for example, then that stays always in the center of the frame, or you can set pivot points, meaning that you can set a camera motion, so to say. You can really be pretty free with that. I actually love that. That's quite a nice function. You do not have to decide what you want to show, but later on when you have the time on the phone or on the computer, you can then decide what you want to be shown and what you want to hide. If you are one of these people having tons of GoPro mounts and stuff laying around at home, they can really be helpful. You can basically attach the new Insta360 One X camera to them. You just need one tiny adapter, and then you can, you can attach the Insta360 One, for example, to the car or whatever. You can really attach it to your wrist, you can attach it to your head, you can attach it to your dog, whatever you want. And the pretty amazing working flow state stabilization keeps the recordings stable. Just take a look at this comparison that I recorded once with my smartphone and once with the Insta360 One X camera. You can see that the stabilization of this camera is superb. It almost looks like you're using a gimbal. When it comes to stabilization, I can say that the Insta360 One X does a pretty good job. What annoys me the most about this camera are two things. The camera does not record MP4 or MOV files. Now Insta360 says that that is not a problem because you can convert the videos, but seriously, I don't want to convert the videos on my phone, and I don't want to convert the videos with a special software that I can download. I just want to use the files right away. I want to take out the micro SD card, plug it into my computer and start editing. I'm a bit annoyed by having to download special software or install plugins or use my phone. No. Insta360, if you're watching this, then please find a solution to that. I just want to use the files right away without any extra software. And the second thing that I really dislike about this camera is the app. The app is quite, let's say, bulky. It crashes from time to time. It is just not intuitive enough. Editing, trimming the video and everything, I don't know, it's not up to date. I would like to really see an enhancement of the app because the camera is really good. I really think that this is the first 360 camera that I really like. And that is because of its cheap pricing, the 5.7K video, all the options like bullet time or live streaming. It's really a powerful camera, but the app is pretty annoying. Now, who could buy this camera? People who are used to filming with bigger DSLRs probably won't buy this tiny 360 camera. The quality isn't good enough. You are, of course, not having variable lenses and everything. So these people are out of the game. Then there is a second group of people who like to film, and that is people who just love to take their smartphones and they just start filming. And being honest, I'm not sure if those people will invest the money to buy a 360 camera and carry that around too. I'm not quite sure who might buy these cameras. Maybe people who are into GoPros, into action, sports filming, and maybe live streaming. Live streaming is really great with this camera when you can just live stream a 360 video and then the audience can themselves decide what they're watching. I am basically satisfied with this new camera, but again, I need to have a usable camera video format right away. And I need to have a redesigned app because the app is really, in my eyes, not user-friendly. But the pricing and the camera quality, 5.7K, that is really advantages of this camera, and that sets standards in 360 video. And I'm really looking very forward to the future because maybe in 2-3 years, these cameras will be so advanced that I will be able to use them for some serious video projects. But now that was it. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to never ever miss any of my upcoming episodes. Again, stay tuned and enjoy another episode of mine, and a product link can be found in the description below the video.